I just saw 28 Years Later Bone Temple, and it is a significant improvement over the last one. Not that I thought the last one was bad, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it. This movie slaps. I think Bone Temple is extremely good, and I just read that it's not doing well in the box office and is projected at like a 13 million opening weekend, which is a 53% drop or something like that compared to the last one. And honestly, that's just a bigger shame than when they canceled the Men in Black cartoon series, because this movie is, I think, very good. I understand why people maybe aren't, flocking to the theater to plant their asses in the seats and watch this if they watched the last one and didn't like it all that much, because that movie, it felt like two very different movies that were sometimes clashing, and I didn't think it worked overly well. So I imagine a lot of people probably weren't super hyped to see it continued, thinking that it'd be, same song and dance again. Let me just put those fears to bed. It is not. This movie, I think, is much, much better. Another thing that I think is working against it is how quickly it's come out since the last one. It's only been 6 months. I think it's 6 months, somewhere in that general ballpark. So it hasn't even been like a full year since 28 Years Later. So I think a lot of people think that this is like fucking DLC or something, or behind the scenes look at 28 Years Later, and marketing hasn't exactly been stellar for it. So I definitely understand there's a lot of contributing factors for its less than amazing performance so far in the box office, but I just need you to know this movie is like really good, and it would be really just a sin to not see this story concluded, because there is still more to the story, and the way that this one ends, I actually sat there and said out loud, holy shit. I am very, very curious to see where they take it, and I hope that we do get to see the finale of it, even if this doesn't, start picking it up in the box office. I hope they've just already got it in the can and are ready to ship it, because if nothing else, I really want to see it. So anyway, as I do now these days, I get into spoilers, so here's your spoiler warning, Alright, we're in. At the end of 28 Years Later, I mentioned a very silly, out-of-nowhere scene where you had basically the blonde-haired Power Rangers drop in and save our protagonist Spike out of nowhere. They come in and they just start, massacring some zombies using, like, fucking kung fu on them. One of them's doing, like, flips and shit, and it's just so wacky and tonally different than a lot of everything else we'd see in the movie. This film picks up right where that one leaves off. It's the cult of Jimmy, and Spike is now given the opportunity to join their ranks one of the fingers if he can kill one of the members. It's do or die, and he is getting toyed with by the Jimmy that is fighting him. But Spike is able to pull it off. He kills that Jimmy, and now he is forced into this lifestyle in the cult of Jimmy. It's led by Jimmy Crystal, who is an extremely entertaining villain. Like, I thought it would just be, like, super goofy, over the top, and, like, cheesy, which has its own certain charm to it. But while he has, like, the characteristics of, like, some kind of cartoon villain, the way that it works in the universe of 28 Years Later, I think is just perfect. Like, it's menacing, it's charismatic, and it's clear, like, there is a lot of fear that he is able to generate through just being so, like, unhinged and so, like, grand in, like, his performance and stuff. So, like, the whole thing is Jimmy Crystal is communicating with old Nick, Satan, and he and his hand, which is the seven fingers, are going through and just offering charity to Satan, which is basically just killing people and torturing them, letting their screams be the music to old Nick's ears. And Jimmy Crystal is just, like, very theatrical in it, like, "Oh, Nick, I can hear you in my noodle. What charity shall we provide? Ah, the shirt." And, like, hearing me do that, you're like, oh, that sounds fucking stupid. But the performance here from Jack O'Connell, I believe that's the actor's name, is extremely good. So, like, when this is happening and they are torturing people, and it's gruesome, by the way, they do not pull punches on, like, the torture, they go fucking hog wild, it's, like, actually very intimidating. And you can see why the fingers, like, are afraid of their leader, whom they are convinced is the son of old Saint Nick, the son of Satan. Like, there's fear, there's respect, and, like, the charisma. Like, it's very, very well done. Jimmy Crystal was a surprisingly interesting villain. But I would say the heart and soul of this movie is Dr. Kelson. So Dr. Kelson, whom we met in the last movie after Spike takes his mother there, we follow him a lot. And he is deep in study and theory around the alpha zombie, whom he's named Samson. Samson is the zombie from the previous film who we saw just like rip people's skulls off like trophies. He's like brutal, huge, imposing. His fucking cock is slinging all over the place. He got fucking meat flapping in the wind. And he is the alpha in this territory. Dr. Kelson is studying him. He has this blow dart that puts him into an opiate-induced trance. And he's in like a fugue state. And while he's there, he's calm. And he becomes addicted to it, Samson. So now, in this film, we see Samson is actually approaching Kelson. Of course, not like friendly, like, oh, hello, neighbor. May I have some more of that morphine cocktail? But he approaches him in a way different than other zombies. Instead of like charging at him mindlessly, he charges at him, but then kind of stops when he notices that blow dart that he knows will put him into that state. So Dr. Kelson picks up on that and starts administering this morphine cocktail to him, and Samson keeps coming back for more. And over time, as he's getting more and more comfortable, they become like friends. Not friends in like the traditional sense, but Dr. Kelson is now treating him as he would any other patient. And it's so fucking fascinating. I would say the main character of this movie isn't Spike, like it was in the last film. Spike is a big character here, but he takes a backseat to every other character. In fact, I wouldn't even say he's like the most prominent character in the cult of Jimmy. I'd say that belongs to another one of the fingers named Kelly, who kind of like protects Spike because he's not the strongest warrior. He did kind of just get lucky in killing that previous finger, and he doesn't want to be there, and she notices that and tries to like protect him. She, I would say, is actually like more prominent in the fingers than even Spike. But again, I really think the main character and the beating heart of this film is Dr. Kelson. And I didn't expect to be as drawn into this narrative of like maybe curing the infection as I was. Because in a lot of other zombie things, it's like this one eureka moment where they just like kind of cure the infection. But here, it's very interesting because Kelson's not setting out to cure the infection. He's setting out just to try and better understand it. So he starts to wonder like, well, does the virus replace the mind or does it just cloud it? What are they seeing? What is Samson seeing when he's murdering babies and shit? Because the babies don't pose a threat to him, what would be compelling him to start murdering them mercilessly? And he starts viewing it more as like a psychosis and trying to treat it as such. And we see Samson, still very much infected, still very much the alpha. He's able to start being less clouded and actually gets out a word. He starts remembering things from before the infection. And it's just such a gradual shift that doesn't feel silly or like, you know, just for the sake of plot convenience. It was really fascinating, and it was done super well. I just, pretty much everything in Bone Temple, I think is an improvement over the last one in every possible aspect. I think it's a lot more gruesome. The action is a lot better. I think also does a better job in the horror department as well. I think it's more unnerving. I think you get more invested in the story that's going on because you care more about what's happening here. And it feels like it's setting itself up for some huge conclusion with the way that this one wraps up. It's very exciting. The first film, I felt a lot of it was style over substance, where they tried to do these very like artsy, almost like pretentious shots that don't really do a whole lot in the context that they're used in. Here, there's still a lot of great style, but there's a lot of good substance too. It's a really interesting journey that I think fucking crushed it. And there's a really, really fun section with an Iron Maiden song and like a crazy choreographed dance and shit. It's so good. I really thought Bone Temple was amazing. And it is so sad that it's not doing well. I hope that like word of mouth will help it pick up and start to perform better, because it deserves it. But now, I don't want anyone going into this thinking that it's a perfect film, because it's definitely not, especially when you put it in the framing of this being the second film in a series. It becomes kind of questionable why they're so like kind of disjointed. They don't fit super well together because, like, for example, Spike's father, who was a very big component of the first half of the previous movie, he's not even mentioned in this one at all. And this isn't even really Spike's story anymore. We're exploring, you know, true evil with Jimmy and his gang, and also, you know, Kelson learning about the infection. But I don't think that's the biggest deal in the world. There is something that I did kind of find a little disappointing. The fingers, I understand there being a bunch of them. You can't really like flesh them out. They are kind of just one-dimensional. I get that. But what I really didn't like, is that it's established that these fingers, the other Jimmies, are extremely strong. The strongest people that he's come across, and in order to even be one of the fingers, they have to pass the initiation, which is killing a previous member, which is supposed to be very, very difficult because they're very adept at surviving and fighting. We saw them dispatch of zombies easily. They completely just massacre zombies. They massacre people effortlessly. There was even like a duel when they came to a small settlement where one person, Jimmy said, you can join us if you kill one of the fingers here. Choose your fighter. He chose someone, and the girl completely outclassed him and annihilated him. So they are established as like really strong fighters. But towards the end of this film, they are easily killed. So like one of the fingers is able to kill all of the others with like single moves. And I'm not talking like elaborate moves or anything. It's just like this and like this. And it wasn't like surprise attacks or anything. I guess one of them was, but the others weren't. It was, you like slapped one of them, then stabbed. And then the other one stabbed. And it's like, that's underwhelming because this whole time we've been led to believe these fingers are maybe not equal in terms of fighting prowess. Like maybe this one finger that's betraying them is more talented than the rest, but it should still at least be some kind of fight, some kind of like climactic showdown, I would have thought. It just feels like they were strong when it was convenient for the plot, but then really weak when Spike needed to survive or when they needed to wrap a certain thing up. That just felt a little deflating to me. I would have liked to see them be able to show why they're even fingers in the first place, about being strong fighters. And there's a couple other individual scenes I don't think worked overly well, but it's really not like a big detriment to the film or anything at all. Like I said, I think the movie slaps overall. I was very impressed and pleasantly surprised at the big improvement between the previous 28 years later and now this one. And like I said, I really would like to see how this story concludes. Anyway, though, that's really about it. See ya.